Друзья, всем привет! Как дела, как настроение? Что-то такие заскучавшиеся. Но сейчас начнется интересная часть программы на главной сцене, потому что перед вами выступят очень крутые спикеры, и мы поделимся секретами, всякими лайфхаками о том, как строить в своей карьере travel-журналистику, либо заниматься travel-блогингом. Давайте встречаем наших гостей. Jeff, Devi, Tynan, you're welcome. Welcome to the venue. Друзья, давайте поаплодируем, встретим наших гостей. Итак, я хотел бы поподробнее рассказать о наших гостях. Вау.
That was the chair, I promise.
Итак, первый наш спикер — это Деви Локвуд, поэтесса, storyteller. Деви Локвуд путешествует по миру. Да, можно дать фоном ее видео. Деви путешествует на велосипеде и также ведет свой проект 1101 аудиоистория об изменении воды и климата. Начиная с 2014 года Деви собрала уже 750 записей из США, Фиджи, Тувалу, Новой Зеландии, Австралии, Таиланда, Лаоса, Камбоджи, Катара, Марокко, Великобритании, Канады, Китая, Дании, Швеции и Норвегии. Сейчас девушка работает над онлайн-картой на своем веб-сайте, на которой вы сможете нажать на выбранную страну и послушать историю именно из этой страны. Ее работы были опубликованы в New York Times, The Guardian, Slate и других популярных изданиях. Кроме того, с 2018 года Деви стала исследователем National Geographic, записывающим проекты Arctic. Ваши аплодисменты, Деви Локвуд. Наш следующий гость Тайан, автор 7 бестселлеров на различные темы от социальных навыков до привычек. Он путешествует по миру как кочевник и управляет веб-сайтом cruisesheet.com для поиска лучших круизных предложений по всему миру. Еще он известен как профессиональный игрок в покер, а еще он один из самых известных тренеров по знакомствам и счастливый обладатель личного острова. Да, давайте поаплодируем. Тайан. И наш третий гость, соведущий телешоу Trip Testers на Travel Channel, бывший редактор издания Thrillist LA и фриланс-автор для популярных медиа, таких как Maxim, Los Angeles Times, The Hollywood Reporter, Esquire.com, Spin.com, Relix, Alternative Press и так далее. Он пишет обо всем о малоизвестных ресторанных жемчужинах и криминальном прошлом Самуэла Л. Джексона, о верховой езде для пожилых дам и музыкальных фестивалях. Это все Джефф Миллер. Можно небольшое видео посмотреть с его телешоу, тизер.
Jason has brought me to the largest city on the Mississippi River, Memphis, Tennessee, to rediscover vintage America.
When you're in Memphis, you have to go to the Peabody Hotel. It's Memphis's most classic hotel, and they do something called the March of the Ducks.
The March of the Ducks is a Memphis tradition that started in 1930 and is still going strong, attracting crowds from ages 0 to 100.
This is really cool.
Good morning. Y'all here for the Duck March?
Yeah,
Yes. Well, this is the world-famous march of the Peabody Ducks, and you're here early enough to get a good seat.
Every day at 11 a.m. they do the March of the Ducks at the Peabody. And the fact of the matter is, one of the reasons you go on vacation is to do something in a city that you literally can't do anywhere else. Do they march ducks in your city? The answer is no, unless you live in Memphis.
We have two distinguished gentlemen here today. Come on up, Jeff and Jason. What? Jason Kessler and Jeff Miller have been chosen honorary duck masters.
Yes. This is awesome.
We were just sitting there, and then all of a sudden he was announcing us as honorary duck masters. I didn't know.
Гость Джефф. Ваши аплодисменты. Ребят, я хотел бы задать вам вопрос. Поднимите руки те, кто в своей жизни хоть раз мечтал стать travel-блогером. Да. Это круто, конечно, когда вы путешествуете, все это снимаете, еще вам за это платят. Вот именно сегодня об этом мы поговорим с нашими спикерами. Я хотел бы задать вам один общий вопрос, потому что так или иначе вы все в разных жанрах, но делаете одно большое дело под названием travel-журналистика либо travel-блогинг. Итак, такой вопрос, как найти вот всем вот этим мечтающим стать travel-блогером свой оригинальный стиль в этом направлении, в этом жанре?
Well, I think that the way that everybody experiences the world is a little bit different. And I think when you read a lot of travel journalism or travel writing, everybody's trying to write the same sort of things. But I think that what ends up being most interesting to people in the end is seeing the world through your eyes and the things that were special to you and different to you. And, you know, not everybody's going to enjoy your writing, but the people that are really into the same things as you will resonate with your writing and they can learn something from you.
I would just piggyback on that by saying that, so I don't know if I can describe myself as a travel journalist because I've been recording stories about water and climate change all around the world, but in a sense, it does fit into the genre. And to this extent that you can break down boundaries and figure out what it is that you're most excited about or what it is that you're most eager to learn about in whatever place it is that you're going, I would encourage you to focus on that. So rather than thinking, you know, what is it that someone else might be interested in, think about what is it that brings me an exquisite joy? What kind of connections do I want to create with people? And go after that.
When people ask me how to become a writer, my biggest the thing that I usually tell them is to write. A lot of people think that they can be a writer and make money being a writer without having practice writing. And I think it's like a lot of other creative forms where you have to do it a lot and have a hard time doing it and break through that hard time before you can start even thinking about doing it as a career.
Окей. Следующий вопрос. Перед тем, как начать что-либо, у нас встает самый главный вопрос. Откуда взять деньги? Потому что нужно путешествовать, нужно где-то жить, нужно что-то есть. И те, кто хотят снимать видео, это еще и нужно монтировать, нужны либо операторы и так далее. Но как начать? Палка двух концов. Вроде, чтобы выйти на какой-то уровень, нужно делать. Чтобы начать делать, нужны деньги. Как начать travel-блогинг без денег и спонсора? Есть ли какие-то ваши наработки? Как вы начинали это?
So my journey is a bit unique and a bit strange, and there's so many ways of telling the story of how it happened. But the inspiration for my trip came out of work I was doing for my senior thesis in university. So I started out recording stories from people I met as I was riding my bike down the Mississippi River, and that kind of gave me space to create the focus of what questions do I want to ask on a bigger journey. So I used the inspiration that was a short trip to inspire a longer one. And that was when I went to the grant office at Harvard and sat down and got feedback from like 20 different people on my grant application and went through a bajillion drafts of this thing. And I applied to so many things and got so many rejections, but one thing said yes, and that was all I needed to get started. So I started out with a grant for a year of purposeful wandering from Harvard, but that's only one beginning. Really, there were many small beginnings before that. And so I think it's important to start where you are, write about things that are happening where you are, and publish that, make it public, right? I made a WordPress blog and just forced myself to write something as often as I could. And then you just build things slowly from there. But I think, good things take time, and it's not going to happen overnight. But just keep practicing and keep paying attention and, carry around a notebook, make notes of things you see around you, ask people questions, because all that stuff will contribute to making something that's really unique and really yours and that stands out in a market that could feel saturated.
I was going to say almost exactly the same thing, in that that to start, you all have experiences being wherever you live, whether it's here or somewhere else. And if you want to start writing about travel, the best way to do it is to really get to know the city that you're from, or even the, sort of microcosm that you're from. And to start writing about that, to start blogging about that, to start doing Instagram about that, to start developing your voice where you are, and then you can sort of treat everything like travel from there. But if you establish yourself sort of locally, and I don't even necessarily mean in the town, I could mean within the group of people that you know, you can really start building from there.
Can I jump on with one quick thing? Travel is a state of mind. So it's not going somewhere. It's being fully present where you are or noticing things that you might not notice otherwise. So it doesn't require a big trip to another part of the world. It could just be, you know, waking up and saying, today I'm going to be a traveler in my own city.
I think the one thing I'd add too is that most travel writers I know, including myself, we traveled first and then began writing later because you have all these experiences and you have this drive to share them. And I think the more you travel, the more value you have in terms of, you know, the context and the experiences you can share. Typically, travel publications, especially when you're starting, the amount they pay you isn't enough to go to that place. And so the way you see most people do it is they do it just because they want to go places at first, and they write to share with their friends and family. And then you can start getting paid a little bit to write about what you're doing, and so it starts subsidizing your trip. And then I think you need to either be on a bigger publication or start your own thing that's some new thing. But I really like their suggestions about starting where you are. I mean, the things that the locals here have shown us were just incredible. And I think that why not start where you're an expert?
Can I jump in as well? One more thing that I also keep hearing is that there's not a lot of local publications in this part of the world. And it seems like it's right for people who really know the cities in Central Asia to start publications that are about the cities in Central Asia, the cool things that are happening, restaurants that are opening, events, things people can go to. If you see that in your market there is something that you love that there is nobody writing about, there's no reason not to start it yourself.
And you can use that to build up to bigger publications and things like that too. And so once, I mean, if you're connecting with an editor at somewhere like the New York Times or whatever, right? They want to see that you've published things before. And so you don't start by going, all right, I'm going to get published in the New York Times tomorrow. You start by saying, okay, I'm going to make a blog. I'm going to generate a ton of content. I'm going to, you know, get people really excited about something or get really excited about what I'm doing, and then use that to take, you know, little steps up. So it doesn't all happen in one instance, but it's something that you can build at slowly, and that hopefully the building is really fun because you're doing it because you love it.
Спасибо за ответ. Перейдем к следующей стадии. Вот travel-блогер начал заниматься своим любимым делом, пишет о регионе, в котором он живет. И какие ошибки допускают в основном travel-блогеры? Problems?
We're just not getting a translation. Sorry.
Really?
Help!
There are some problems with translation in English. Okay, so let me ask in English. What are the frequent mistakes which new travel bloggers make in their career? So how to avoid these mistakes?
When I made my first blog post, I didn't have a single picture in it. And my mom was like, what are you doing? You need to take pictures. And I was like, oh my God. So I would say that I was really shy when I started out about photographing. And I've sort of been breaking through that barrier over time and been having fun with talking with photographers who I've met in different parts of the world and learning about their craft by just asking questions. So if there's something that I would say is that, yeah, include images with your post and also include keywords, because then it makes it easier for it to be found in like search engine optimization and things like that.
I think that a lot of people in not just travel writing, but really all writing, try to appeal to everybody. And by doing so, they water down their message for everybody. So I think it's really to think about who you're writing for specifically, even if that's you and your friends, and to really focus on that and build your audience around what you're naturally interested in and what you're naturally good at writing about, rather than trying to make the next great universal travel site.
I think that a lot of people, again, who are creative people often forget about other things, like you said, like SEO or marketing or sort of self-promotion. And it's really important not to just focus on the words that you're writing, but how you're going to share those with people and whether you're counting on people coming to you or whether you want to push stuff out. If you're counting on people coming to you, it's very hard to find. And a lot of the people that have been speaking here have been speaking about ways to sort of market yourself. I think it's really important to learn that stuff as well as the actual process of writing things.
And just know that it's always going to be a work in progress. Like, I'm still learning things. Went to a panel this morning about how to, or Toastmasters was leading something about how to become a better speaker. And I was like, wow, this is great. Like, just know that you're always going to be learning and come at it with a learning mindset. And yeah, it's fun to learn, right? Who doesn't want to keep learning?
Okay, thanks. Теперь перейдем к обратной связи. Какие у любого travel-блогера, уверен, у вас есть как почитатели, подписчики, фолловеры, но так и хейтеры. Хейтеры делятся на две категории. Есть те, кто дают конструктивную критику, и те, кто неконструктивный. Как определять, где стоит прислушаться к критике, а где все-таки просто нужно не обращать на это внимания? Как определить вот эту грань?
I'd say that in general, I try to listen to everybody and then not really care too much, at least emotionally. If you see something over and over again, it's probably true. If you see something once or twice, even if it's really mean, it's probably not true. So I think, part of the process, like she was talking about, it doesn't happen overnight, is you do build this filter and sort of a thick skin to where you can see whether feedback is coming from a place where it wants to help you and it's something that is valuable, or if it's somebody that's maybe jealous that you're traveling a lot or something like that.
There's this common phrase, don't feed the trolls, and I think that it often is applicable. If somebody is hating on you just to hate, there's no reason to get into an argument with them. There's no reason to get into a troll battle with them. You can just let it go. They're going to forget about it. And even if you remember about it, it doesn't matter. I think developing a thick skin is very, very, very important if you're going to have any sort of presence online.
Yeah, so I have a vivid memory of really early on when I was starting this. I was doing a lot of storytelling on Facebook about what I was doing. And I got a message from someone who I wasn't connected with, and they'd clearly made a fake name because it was like John Adams, and it just said one note that's like, you can't write. And I was like, actually, that's kind of hilarious because I can. And I will. And so I wrote back and I'm like, yeah, like, interesting. Like, did you read something that resonated with you? Because I can write and I am going to keep on writing. And then I posted a screenshot of that on Facebook, and then people gave me all this really positive feedback. So I think that, there's different levels of trolls. There's trolls that are like really horrendous. And Lindy West has done some amazing writing on this subject, exactly, and I would encourage anyone who's like dealing with trolls to listen to her episode of This American Life because it's stunning. But yeah, I mean, there's things that just aren't important, and then there's like, I love getting feedback on my writing from other writers, right? And if they can, I have a trusted group, like a small group of people who I'll send early drafts to, and we give each other commentary back and forth on like Google Docs or something, and that's really wonderful. So it's, feeling confident in yourself and knowing what you're doing, knowing why you're doing it, and then nothing can touch that, right? So if someone criticizes something that I'm making, they're not criticizing me. They're just criticizing a thing that's sort of an extension of me, but like, okay, cool, whatever. I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing because I know who I am and I know what I want to do in the world.
And if people are criticizing you, it means you've at least risen to some level that you're getting some attention, so it's actually probably an indicator of good things, even if it's negative feedback.
Окей, спасибо. Давайте поаплодируем нашим гостям за эту часть нашей панельной сессии. Теперь перейдем к персональным вопросам. Деви, ты, конечно, очень смелая девушка, потому что посетила, точнее, проехала на велосипеде столько стран. И такой личный вопрос. Как пришла идея, как ты пришла к этому? И расскажи о самом сложном твоем маршруте во время твоих путешествий на велосипеде.
So I had a really challenging experience in the border between Laos and Cambodia. And so I was cycling during monsoon season because I thought to myself, like, oh, I'm such a strong female traveler. I've been riding my bicycle for a year and a half. Like, what's a little rain going to do? But it's not a little rain. It's a lot of rain. And I got sick, and my tent was leaking, and I was traveling with another person for a short part of that time, and she needed to get to Phnom Penh to start a job teaching English. And so we bought a ticket on a bus going to Phnom Penh, not realizing that this is a very difficult border to cross for a variety of reasons and is quite corrupt. And so, I mean, how long do I have to tell this story? I could tell the short version or the long version, but the short version is that there was like, there were two men on the bus, and one of them, by the end of the trip, got really angry with the way that I was acting and said that, like, women like you are the reason why women get beat up, and tried to put his hands around my neck and strangle me at the end of the trip. And this was an American guy who was traveling across the border. And I was not doing so well in the aftermath of that. Was having panic attacks and needed to go home. So that wasn't a product of being on the bicycle. Like, people all the time ask me, like, aren't you so afraid being a woman traveling alone? I think that's a really sexist question, because, like, I'm a woman in the world no matter where I go, and I'm always going to be on my bicycle. But that was a really difficult time, and I think I learned a lot about myself after it, and had some really great therapy, and learned about what panic attacks are and, like, how to work through that. But yeah, it was challenging. I'm not going to pretend like that was easy. It was a really difficult time.
Следующий вопрос, Дэви. Уже на твоем счету 750 историй о воде. У тебя уже 750 историй о воде. И поделись, пожалуйста, какой-то самой вдохновляющей, либо самой трогательной историей, которую ты слышала за всю свою карьеру.
Sure. So this one's not so much about water as it is about climate change. But I was very moved by some work I heard in Denmark. So Samsø is an island in Denmark that is agricultural, and they are known for being a 100% renewable energy island, but they weren't always that way. And so the government funded kind of an experimental project because it's very windy in Samsø, and they thought this would be a great place to try out renewable energy. But it was difficult to get buy-in from the community because it was something that was so new. And I recorded a story with the two people who kind of were the masterminds behind this idea. And the story they told me was about how there was a big storm in the island, and all of the power went out except for the one house that had the wind turbine. And then after that, everyone thought, wow, this is a really great idea to have individual energy production. And so now Samsø sends their energy out to other parts of Denmark, and they're working on making the ferry that goes to and from the mainland, which is currently running on fracked gas, making that using biofuels. So taking the remnants from the farm products that are made, what's left over, and then creating that and using that to fuel the ferry going back and forth. So it was really wonderful hearing about how kind of a community came together, but it was also sort of a single moment in time that you can mark the before and after in terms of changing people's minds about renewable energy.
Thank you. Джефф, вопрос тебе. Ты путешествуешь по миру, пробуешь различную кухню. Скажи, пожалуйста, на твоем опыте самая необычная пища, которую ты ел, и расскажи, где это было?
I think it took place in Astana, Kazakhstan, about 4 days ago.
What was it?
So I have sort of this approach to life where I will say yes to almost anything, and I will certainly say yes to any food once, and usually twice. I'll try something different ways, or different ways of it being cooked, different preparations. And so when I was there, I tried horse, and I really enjoyed the horse, actually. I thought it was great. But I had never had horse milk. And I did a workshop for a group that brought me some horse milk just a few days ago. And I had about 15 people in the group, and all 15 of them were filming me about to drink the horse milk, which should have told me that it was not going to be something my palate would understand. And I think that's really important, actually, to understand and to talk about, is that I don't think it was bad. It was something that my palate, being from where I'm from, just didn't understand. It didn't make sense to me. I didn't like it. I don't feel like I need to lie about that. I didn't like it, but I understand that it's part of the culture here, and that if you grow up with it, it's a different flavor to you. It's a different thing to somebody who's grown up with it. But for me, it was very powerful and very intense. And like I said, I'll try almost anything twice. I probably will never try it again. It was a little too much for me.
As a result, everything was okay after 2 or 3 hours?
Yeah, it was okay. I started seeing stars right afterwards.
Okay,
and,
you're lucky, man. You're lucky. Okay, could you tell us about the most interesting experience during your TV show?
Yeah. When we were shooting the TV show, we made a point of trying to find things that were a little off the beaten path. We were in cities that were really well-known American cities. And we went to this place that's owned by this 95-year-old man in his garage. He owns and operates the world's only toilet seat art museum. And he's been making toilet seats for every major world event for the past 60-something years. And he puts them up in his garage. And he makes them for World's Fairs and the Olympics, for when he gets visitors. When Saddam Hussein's bunker was bombed, he had a friend in the army who brought him back a piece of Saddam Hussein's toilet seat from Iraq. And he has that in it. And I love meeting people like that. He wasn't doing it for the money. You don't make money in a toilet seat museum. And he wasn't doing it for the fame. He was doing it because it was something he loved. And now he's probably 97 years old. And all you have to do is call him, and he'll give you a guided tour of his toilet seat museum in San Antonio, Texas. And it was amazing. It was like a moving experience for me, because seeing this guy who was so passionate about something so unusual was so cool. And he was such a great guy, and I didn't want to leave. It was really, really special.
So there is a proverb, money don't smell. Okay. How many countries did you visit during the show?
Oh, for the show was just in the U.S., but I visited many countries, both personally and for writing stuff.
Okay, but how many yourself?
How many myself? Probably, I'm going to guess 25, 30, maybe more. Yeah.
Okay. The most exciting countries, what was on your list?
I recently went to Israel, and Israel is a very, very unique country because there's so much history and the history of the world that we know from all of the major world religions. Christianity and Judaism and Islam are all there in one very, very small place. And I was really lucky to go there with a group of all people who work in the food world. So we got to meet, for instance, a baker who is an Arab Israeli, not an Arab Jew, an Arab Israeli who makes food from everywhere around the region. And then his bakery is like a place of peace where people can come in and eat bread from Lebanon and bread from Jordan and bread from Israel and bread from Palestine and talk about what makes us all the same. And, in a place that had so many problems, it was one of the most interesting places I've ever visited, and to talk to people who live there, very similarly, actually, to this guy in San Antonio, right? Here's this guy who is doing something that is his passion, and he's bringing people together to make peace through food. I mean, it's a beautiful thing.
Okay, спасибо. Следующий вопрос Тайнану. Тайнан представитель такого жанра, как первые travel-блогеры. Это были, на мой взгляд, Христофор Колумб, Орландо Магеллан, Джеймс Кук, те, кто писали. И Тайнан продолжает этот жанр в 21 веке. Тайнан, но у нас есть информация, что ты владелец целого острова, один из владельцев этого острова, при этом ты поэт, писатель. Да, вот, кстати, юрта находится на этом острове. Вообще, каково ощущать себя владельцем острова?
Honestly, it's like one of my favorite things. Ever since I was in high school, I saw this magazine where they were selling a really fancy like Caribbean island in the back of it. And ever since then, I always wanted to have my own island. And so I bought this one with 9 of my friends, including one guy right there. And it's one of these things where, sometimes you have this dream or something you really want, and you get there and you're like, oh, it wasn't so great, or it wasn't what I expected. The island is the exact opposite. Anytime anything even slightly bad happens in my life, I just sort of think, well, at least I have an island. And totally changes my mindset. But, what I like a lot about it is that all of my work is either on the phone or in front of a computer, and so I don't get to use my hands all that often. My father is a carpenter, and he taught me a lot of stuff, so it's great to fly out there and build stuff and get shipwrecked and try to fix our boat and, kind of deal with stuff I don't get to deal with normally. I find it really recharging.
За сколько вы купили этот остров с друзьями?
So it's a lot cheaper than most people think. It was, including everything we've built, it's under $100,000. For years I would look for islands to buy, and they were either really cheap, but they were like in the middle of the South Pacific, and you had to like charter this boat to bring you there, and it's this like ridiculous process. Or they'd be really convenient, but very expensive. And then a friend of mine in Japan said, oh, well, hey, what about these Canadian islands? And it turns out they just have so many islands there that they're not that expensive. So as soon as he found them, within 24 hours, we had an offer in on that one. Yeah.
Так, $100,000, да, если... Окей, это не так много, в принципе.
A little bit under. Yeah, very cheap.
А как вы добираетесь до него? By the ship?
Yeah, so you fly to Halifax Airport, which is in eastern Canada, and then from there, including a short boat ride, it's about 45 minutes. So, it's pretty close to a town. So whenever we're building stuff, we always forget like one screw or one piece of wood. So it's pretty convenient to go back and get the stuff.
Давайте поаплодируем писателю-блогеру, который единственный на моем опыте является совладельцем острова. Есть к чему стремиться. Ну а теперь, друзья, я хотел бы представиться для вас. Меня зовут Ануар, я являюсь travel-блогером и немножко хотел бы рассказать о своем проекте. А можно ли поставить тизер? Путь за приключениями. Whiskeyman, I love you. Проект называется «7 причин сорваться в», либо посетить в, кому как удобно. Идея очень простая, то есть есть некий рейтинг топ 7 причин, чтобы выбраться туда, куда мы захотим. Проект начался в прошлом году и снискал достаточно хорошую публику в интернете, в YouTube, и уже в этом году мы заканчиваем съемки всего Казахстана, ну а дальше мы уже пойдем по миру. Причем хочу поделиться с вами тонкостями будущего проекта. Мы будем выставлять на голосование материк, куда мы будем отправляться. То есть сами зрители будут выбирать сценарий будущего выпуска. Затем мы будем выбирать уже страну, то есть на предложение 10 самых интересных стран в том или ином материке, и уже отправляться изучать ту или иную страну. Пилотный выпуск второго сезона с другой стороны у нас будет буквально через несколько дней. Это будет 7 причин сорваться в Узбекистан. Уверяю вас, те, кто не был в Узбекистане, советую съездить в эту прекрасную страну. Мы, на самом деле, мало чего знаем о наших соседях. И у меня такой вопрос к вам. Вы уже достаточно немало побывали в разных местах. Джефф в Астане. Я знаю, что Деви была на Балхаш, ездила уже снимать сюжет. Таян, Кольсай, Хайнда, Чаринские каньоны. Вот вам вопрос, как людям, которые всего лишь недели-две были в Казахстане. Назовите ваши 7 причин посетить Казахстан.
So I'll start off with one. I love karaoke, and the karaoke here in Kazakhstan is amazing.
What's your karaoke song?
So I sing a lot of gangster rap karaoke.
Oh, me too. We got to do a duet.
Let's do it tonight.
Yeah, I'm in.
Ministry of Karaoke?
I love the karaoke here in
Just
Kazakhstan.
the
Amazing
karaoke.
karaoke clubs.
Okay,
and-
karaoke time. Then, any...
I think mine has to be horse milk. I mean,
Yeah, are you sure, man?
I think it goes along with try new things. I think that one of the reasons to visit here is the people have been so friendly and so great. And I think that there is this thing that happens when you're used to living in one place and you go somewhere else, and you realize that the people are the same everywhere. And everybody I've met here has been fantastic.
I'll second that. Great people.
Okay, karaoke first, then friendly people. But I'm not sure sometimes, Friendly people, then...
Well, we went to the mountains.
Mountains,
and it was
yes.
beautiful. I was raised by mountaineers, so it feels like coming home when I'm walking up a hill. I just love walking up hills.
I'm gonna throw in horse meat too. I'm not a very adventurous eater, and I kind of wanted to try it because I had the opportunity, but didn't really think I'd like it. And I must have eaten like a full leg of a horse last night. It was very, very good.
Okay, horse meat.
I think that the roller coaster up at the top, I don't remember the name of the theme park. I was there today where you have the brakes and it's right up you take a tram up there. You guys know what I'm talking about? I was there today.
Train Koktebe?
Yes. Yeah, the roller coaster there is so fun because you control it on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't get to see those very much because safety concerns.
Mm-hmm. Koktebe. Then 2. Maybe one of them is go viral?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm not quite sure how to say this, but I think there are a lot of misconceptions, especially coming from America, about what a stan country is. And the real way to remedy that is just to come, right? Because stan means land of. It's not like, oh no, it's a stan country, you're gonna die. Like, literally, people have been like, oh, you're in Kazakhstan, like, stay safe. Like, no, I'm totally fine. So I think, yeah, to remedy misconceptions, and then if I could do a second quickly, it would be that being here has made me realize how much my education was lacking in understanding, like, what the Soviet Union was and what the fall of the Soviet Union was like, and then what has happened since then. A lot of history classes I had actually ended in the 1960s, and that might just be because I was taking weird storytelling classes all the time and didn't seek out this information on my own. But, seeing the infrastructure, talking with people who are young and have a lot of energy about what they want to see and what changes they want to make in this part of the world and what they're passionate about has just been really, really fascinating for me. So I don't know how to say that succinctly, but I would say come because it's worth it and it's beautiful and delicious. Yeah.
One more?
I think that when you're traveling to somewhere that you're not super familiar with, you often think that it's one thing. And one of the things that I've learned about Kazakhstan, which is also, I think, similar to if you were to visit the U.S., is how diverse it is here specifically. Where there are people from a lot of different countries that have ended up here and have established their own cultures here, and how sort of multicultural the country and the city specifically are.
Okay. Итак, наши 7 причин — это караоке, дружелюбные люди, горы, конина, Коктубе, безопасность. Почему-то так. И 7 — мультикультурность. Давайте поаплодируем этим 7 причинам, которые были очевидны нашим гостям из Америки. А теперь такой зеркальный вопрос. 7 причин поехать в Америку к вам в гости.
I think that my number one reason was also the one I just said for Kazakhstan. The multiculturalism, what it is to be American is not one thing. And it's something that I think right now especially is really lost in the U.S. and sort of in the messaging of the U.S. abroad. There's so many different kinds of people and so many places in the U.S. that have their own culture that to define it as any one thing is to miss the point of what it means to visit the U.S. and to be from the U.S.
I think that we have an incredible national park system that I think a lot of times when people visit the U.S., they think like New York and L.A., maybe San Francisco. And I think a lot of the most interesting, unique things we have are like Yellowstone and Yosemite and Bryce Canyon and a lot of our amazing national parks.
That is an amazing answer I never would have thought of. That's like a fantastic answer.
Music. I talked a bit about that first bike trip I did down part of the Mississippi River. So I started in Memphis, Tennessee, and ended in Venice, Louisiana. And along the way, stopped off in this small town called Clarksdale because they were having a blues festival, and someone told me I should go. And it turns out Clarksdale, Mississippi is like home of some really great music, and it's the crossroads. There's some great legends about Robert Johnson, who sold his soul to the devil in exchange for the ability to play guitar at midnight. And as a result, there's kind of this really strong legacy of just great musical traditions. And, I think we have a lot to owe, especially to African-American culture in the States. And, like, the music is unreal. So come listen.
Barbecue.
I was thinking about saying that.
Like Texas barbecue, Memphis barbecue, Kansas City barbecue. You could just go to the U.S. and just eat all the different kinds of barbecue. And I haven't even gotten into, there's a huge Korean population in L.A., Korean barbecue. I mean, just barbecue. Barbecue is fantastic.
But if you're vegetarian, we also have other foods.
Tofu barbecue.
Kale chips.
Kale chip barbecue.
America's also, I think, there's certain countries that are really great countries for road trips. Like Iceland is like an amazing country to do a road trip. And I think an amazing way to see America and to see the contrast between the big cities and the tiny towns and the landscapes is to rent a car or an RV and take a big road trip.
And I would say that Americans as a whole are pretty talkative. We love talking. So, like, ask us anything and we'll probably talk to you about it.
Probably too much, right?
Probably.
How many do we have?
And the last one.
I was going to go with roller coasters again. We have really good roller coasters. But you had another idea.
I was just going to say maybe there's only 6, but you've proved me wrong.
Yeah, no, there's amazing amusement parks with very different kinds of roller coasters than I've ridden here. And if you like doing crazy adventurous things, that one's not super high on the crazy list, but it's very fun.
Ooh, can I add another one? Libraries. Yeah.
That's
like,
cool.
just stop in at small town libraries. Go to what's the big one in DC that I'm blanking on right now? We have a lot of libraries and museums too. I think there's great libraries and museums.
Okay, nice. She's so proud about America. Just
I like
that's
books.
Cool.
What can I
That's
say?
Cool. Okay, multicultural, national parks, music, barbecue, practice of English because you like to speak. Yeah. Disneyland, libraries and museums. Ваши аплодисменты. Есть зачем?
Disneyland is not where the best roller coasters are, though.
Okay.
Cedar Point.
Cedar
Point.
Okay. Cedar Point. Спасибо большое. К сожалению, у нас закончилось время. Давайте поаплодируем нашим спикерам этой панельной сессии. Джефф Миллер, Деви Локвуд и Тайнан.